We were on the cusp of global war here in HBG's Global War 1936. So we're heading into the seventh turn of the game, which is July 39, and this is going to be the turn where conflict breaks out all across the globe, in Europe as well as in the Pacific. Continue to just be a lot of maneuvering around. The Germans bought 3 more medium armor, upgraded another militia to an infantry, and dropped an artillery down. So the lineup that we've got heading into July 39 here for the Germans. So on what will be the Eastern Front, they've got a total of 6 infantry, a cavalry, and 2 artillery. They also have a couple of planes in Berlin, a medium bomber and a tactical that'll probably fly over. On what will be the Western Front, they have 2 stacks of about 10 artillery, 2 stacks of about 10 men, a stack of 8 or 10 light armor, 6 medium armor, and 3 fighters. So Germany is definitely poised to launch a blitzkrieg both in the east and the west. And they do have the special blitzkrieg rule. So once a game prior to the January 41 turn, the Germans units can basically move twice in a turn. And that is the special blitzkrieg movement they have. So basically, for instance, here on July 39, the Germans can come in to this French territory here, take that out, and then on the same turn, all the surviving units can then make a second combat move into Paris, for instance. Same thing on the Eastern Front. They can take out West Poland here, and then on the second movement of the blitzkrieg, go into Warsaw. So basically, each German unit gets to go twice, and if the Germans do launch an attack here in July 39, you can bet they're going to use that blitzkrieg rule. So they'll do double the attacks here on turn 7. The French built 3 more infantry, placed them in Paris, so they got a nice stack there. Not sure it's going to be enough to survive. We'll see. The British built a fighter, put that in London, and they actually built a light armor they put down here in Egypt. Now, there isn't currently any sculpts for light armor for the British, so I'm just using this armored car sculpt for their light armor. They do have medium armor sculpts, Crusader tanks, and then for heavy tanks, I'm using the sculpt that they have for the Churchill heavy tank from the war. So, but no sculpts for the British light armor yet. Hopefully that's coming at some point. The U.S. just collected money. The Italians upgraded another militia to an infantry and then put another fighter on the board. So now they're up to 4 fighters and 2 tactical bombers in northern Italy. I'm not sure the Italians are going to enter the conflict anytime soon. It'd be pretty much suicidal. Now, if the Germans take Paris, the Vichy rule will go into effect, and then all these French ships will have to be rolled for. So potentially the Italians could only be facing 1 navy, but even still, probably not going to enter the conflict anytime soon. Going to probably wait things out a little bit until the Axis, the Germans can gain the upper hand across the board in Europe, much like Mussolini did in World War II. He didn't enter the conflict until June of 1940, several weeks after the Germans had launched the invasion into France, and the French and the Allies, the British Expeditionary Force, were all but defeated. So that's when Mussolini decided to throw his hat into the ring. So I'm expecting the same kind of Italian response, or lack thereof, to start the conflict in Europe. The Russians moved a couple of infantry around, not much else. They also now, that we're at the July 39 turn, can go into Finland. So I'm expecting this massive Russian force here in Leningrad and in this northern Russian territory to go right into Finland. And I don't think the Finns are going to be able to put up much resistance. I don't think it's going to be a historically, accurate battle here. The Finns put up quite a fight in the Winter War when the Russians went in. I don't really see that being the case. The Russians have overwhelming numbers to go into Finland in this game. Not much else in Europe. In the Pacific, again, we can see conflict hasn't broken out, but you can see where the Japanese now are ready to roll. They finished off their 3 heavy cruisers they had on the board on the production chart, and they've maneuvered a couple of fleets around into the South Pacific. So down here, they've got all 8 of their Marines, the 4 transports. They got a couple battleships, 3 heavy cruisers, 2 destroyers, a light cruiser, and a light carrier. And then over here, they got 3 subs, a battle cruiser, a light cruiser, a destroyer, and a heavy cruiser. So the Japanese have now placed themselves in position to do some damage in the South Pacific. And they also still have a fleet in Japan, a fleet carrier with a tactical and a fighter, 3 heavy cruisers, a transport, and a torpedo boat destroyer. So it looks like Japan is also going to forego the route of peace and get into the conflict here. They also, again, have this big force bordering these northern Chinese territories. The Far East Command and Anzac both went ahead and upgraded their minor factories to medium factories. Other than that, not a lot. The U.S. just saved their money. In China, again, didn't see much conflict. The Communist Chinese did come in here and take out the single national Chinese infantryman that was there. Besides that, nothing else. But the Communist Chinese bought a couple of infantry, plus on their recruitment roll, they were able to gain another infantry as well. So they've got the national Chinese down to just 3 territories that hold units, and only these 2 down here outside of Nanking have any significant units. So we'll see if the Communist Chinese want to go in and try to take out national China, although Japan, again, is poised to strike. So we'll see what happens there. As far as technology goes, we got a bunch of nations starting to really pile up the tech here going into July 39. So on the Axis side over here, Germany is at stage 2 for 5 techs: advanced artillery, advanced subs, wartime economy, improved factories and construction. And they're at stage 1 for jet fighters, heavy armor, and strategic rockets. So now that we're at the July 39 stage, each nation is able to advance beyond stage 2 for the tech. So we'll see the Germans, depending on die roll, advancing there. Even the Japanese, who were having some bad tech rolls to start the game, have come on lately. They're at stage 2 for wartime economy, heavy battleships, heavy carriers, which obviously with the Japanese Navy, that's really important tech to have. And they're at stage 1 for improved factories. Even Italy's got a couple of things: stage 2 for wartime economy and stage 1 for long-range aircraft. On the Allies and Comintern side, the U.S. actually had a bad roll. They were 0 for 4 on all of their tech rolls this turn. The British actually did get on the board, though, with a couple. They got jet fighters and long-range aircraft this turn. So altogether, the U.S. is at stage 2 for 4 techs, stage 1 for 3. The British stage 2 for 2 and stage 1 for 2. And the Russians stage 2 for 3 and stage 1 for 3. And then the French are at stage 2 for wartime economy. But unless the die rolls go heavily against Germany, I don't expect the French to be around long enough to try to move that technology down the line to completion. So that's where we stand heading into July 39. World War II about to break out in full.